there you are.
Sitting in my
I
bag.
thought you left. I was looking at you over there. All right.
You wanna come over here this way?
You gonna share with us some, or are you gonna share with us
Well, I'm gonna,
together?
yeah,
Okay.
we met about this before,
Yes. A couple of weeks ago.
and, the bids had come back, but since then, it was back in purchasing hands, and there was an issue, so that's the reason Billy's here to talk about. This issue had never come up with any other bid process before, and, it won't come up again because we've changed, so y'all wanna describe what the issue is?
Well, for public works bids, if they're out-of-state bidders, well, I mean, it needs to be done every time, but the public works law requires that you, publish a summary of this statute, in the bid specs that talks about preference for local contractors. And so, basically, the statute says that Alabama will treat out-of-state contractors the same way the state they're from treats Alabama contractors. And in this case, we had a Mississippi contractor that was the low bidder. And Alabama and Mississippi, essentially, their statutes are identical, so there is no preference. So in other words, a Mississippi contractor would be treated just like, an Alabama contractor would not get a preference, like sometimes some states have a 5% preference. If a local contractor is 5% high, less than 5% higher, you can accept that bid. But anyway, it wouldn't have mattered in this case. However, neither the architects nor the city published a summary of this statute and it's never come up before. It's kind of an obscure thing, but but we had a local contractor that sent a letter asking about local preference, which there wouldn't be any. However, the Alabama Supreme Court and the Attorney General have determined that the bids, if somebody did sue, then the bids or the contract you entered into when you did not publish a summary of the statute could be a fatal flaw. In other words, if somebody sued, they could have the contract set aside. And in this case, because we had a local contractor not complain necessarily, but request some kind of preference or ask about it, my opinion is that that we just need to rebid it and put the summary of the statute in there.
So what you're saying is, in the future, any
Any public, this only applies to public works projects where federal funds are not being used. If any federal funds are involved, you don't have to do it, but if it's just state or local funds, then this summary of the statute saying what the Alabama's preference law is, for public works contracts has to be, just a summary of it has to be put in there. See, it used to be, and this was amended, it used to be that for public works contracts, and we did do this, they used to have a requirement that if you were an out-of-state contractor to bid on a public works contract, you had to literally provide with your bid the opinion of a licensed attorney from your state that gave an opinion and explained what the preference law in that state was. But the legislature did away with that requirement. I don't remember exactly what year that changed. 2001, and so now, that's not required, but the city, we're supposed to put a notice that in the bids that if you're from out of state and your state gives preference to local contractors over Alabama contractors, and we're gonna treat you the same way. So that's
So-
essentially it.
So, Andy Leanne, to rebid it, so what's the process now? Is it different than it was the first go round?
Other than just including this documentation. I've had several conversations with Jay Perky, GMC, and they addressed their council, and they don't agree with that. They think we could move forward with it the way it is. I have gone back to check to see if there was something that I had missed. Bill Stevenson's documents for 30 years has never had any clause, anything about this. I know we just did Sportsplex, and same thing. It was a Mississippi company, no issues came up. I'm not exactly sure how this is.
But it was a
taken
local,
place.
it was a local contractor or just an Alabama contractor?
No, a
No, it was a
local
local
contractor who
contractor.
complained. not com-
Complained, took issue with it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
I wanted to make sure.
And
Thank you.
they also,
Did they
if I'm
bid
not
on it?
mistaken, they bid on the Sportsplex as well. So
Okay.
maybe this is just something that they've turned up in between. But yes, we've already released another advertisement, and I went ahead and put it in our legal ad that we show in the paper.
So have you
It
already put it,
states-
have you already advertised for bids again?
Not for the fire department. I've
Okay.
been waiting for us to just make the final
And there,
decision on.
there is one notable part in that too. It's very vague in the law about the ad itself. So Leanne would do a legal ad, is how we would do it, and then GMC would have the actual specifications.
Okay.
So in the law, it states the advertised specification. So to cover us moving forward, we spoke with Billy that we're gonna put it in the legal ad as well.
So how long will, so the process will go as far, if, go ahead and rebid it, how long is it going? How long are we talking?
How long did it take the first, I
I was
mean,
gonna say, if I just need 3 weeks, probably in between the time of releasing the ad to, and, the company I used, or that we sent out this last ad on, I just sent it over to White Linen Collins, and I said, look, we wanna make sure this is a part of it. Okay, so we've never used this before. I said, well, anything for the city of Florence moving forward, this is gonna be required documentation.
So it will be, this will be the way we do it every time
In-
unless
In
it's
Public
for, in
Works
Public
and-
Works without federal dollars.
Like this Mississippi company has an Alabama license. They are licensed in Alabama. It's not that they're trying to come in and do this project under a Mississippi license.
Mhm.
They're also Alabama licensed as well.
And Mayor, you may have just asked this, I wanna make sure, this will set us back how long on this? 3 weeks? 6 weeks?
3.
Just 3 weeks?
Mhm. I need to advertise before.
So I guess now that the cat's out of the bag on the pricing, do we expect it to be more or
I
less?
was gonna say, this could actually benefit us greatly, because I'm thinking everybody's gonna have to sharpen their pencil. Cause they know what each other's prices are, and if you wanna come in low bidder, it may, if there could be a benefit to it, chief, sorry,
No,
but that would be one avenue to look at. At least maybe something positive coming out of it, it would be.
Well, Bill, I actually, was with Ms. Simmons at the, league board meeting, had lunch with her and told her, I mean, we talked about it, and I think Billy spoke with her about the issue, so she's certainly aware of it, and told her that, I
she
mean,
told me to ask what it was,
Yeah.
that was earlier. apparently.
because, you know, when we left the meeting the last time, I asked her about moving it on to the finance committee, and then this came up, so, I think it was best for us to sit back down and talk about it.
Anything else?
No, sir, that was my only involvement in it, is just making the recommendation that we rebid it.
Our budget, how does it fit in? What did you budget for?
There's 4 million budgeted for the station, so it was already gonna come in over budget with the original bid.
But where we talked about it the last meeting was because it would go across more than one budget year.
Yes,
The additional amount could be budgeted for,
26.
that's right.
Chief, do you have any concerns
That
about
was
this?
my next
And
question.
I'm sorry, and the additional time, or Or do you feel like this is gonna work with what you need it to do and what you'd envisioned?
I mean, sure, it would be nice if we didn't have to rebid it, but it will work fine. It's one of those things, is the proverbial, it is what it is. But, you know, it's good to know that projects in the future, this is not a possibility moving forward. That's for sure. We were already rolling into another budget year on completion, so I don't think the outcome in the long term, there's no bearing to that. Really, I want to share Leanne's optimism about sharpening their pencils. I hope that is the case, and that would be good for all of us.
I've looked for any silver lining in all of this, because we've never had anything like this come up before, and so that's the one I'm clinging to at the moment.
Well, I know at the last meeting, you had the, you know, all the drawings on the screen, and you walked through every room, talking about ways we could save. And so how long have we been working on this project?
3 years, I think 3 years. If we can turn it around in the bid in 3 more weeks, you know, that's at this point, that's certainly a positive.
And it won't affect when you hope to start construction and all that stuff as far as that goes?
It's affecting,
But
but not,
minorly,
minor impacts to it.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So that timeline would just be shifted out.
Shifted out. It does put us in the wet weather seasons, getting started, which is a little bit more challenging, but a month in the construction industry can make a big difference in the time of year and what you can get accomplished, but certainly doable, no issues.
Did you talk to Andy earlier today? You up to speed?
No, since you weren't here,
There's another Andy.
Billy
So I was like, which Andy is he talking about?
Billy went over I think you'd already talked to him about the issue with the bids. And then I just told him that I was at lunch with you in Montgomery, and I told you we were gonna try to have this meeting again to talk about it. So Billy has explained that process. Leanne and Andy have talked about, you know, bidding again, and so I think that's kind of where we were, and explained to it about how long that would take. So I think that's
Pretty much all you've missed.
And how long did you say it would take?
I'll just need 3 weeks
3
from the
weeks.
date of advertisement for the bid opening to take place, and that shouldn't be any problem. I mean, I can schedule it this week more than likely. I might possibly take the weekend to get it in the paper, but if y'all wanna release it, we can do that.
Explain one more time. The reason that we have to put the statues of the, the summary of the statute. Tell me why we have to do that?
Because that's what the state code says. I mean,
Even though they are an Alabama licensed contractor.
well, the state statute says, a summary of this law shall be made a part of the advertised specifications of all projects affected by this law, which is any public works project that's not paid for with federal funds.
The contract, it also says they have to be domiciled in the state.
That's the headquarters of the, yeah.
So even though they're licensed to do work and everything's good for them to do work,
But
their
they're a
office-
Mississippi corporation.
That's correct, they're not.
And so when GMC released the specifications, that was not noted in the specifications.
Okay. Yeah, you up to speed? Okay.
Does this open us up for any other litigation for previous times when this hasn't appeared?
No.
Okay.
That's a good question.
I mean,
And that's
I
a
don't-
good answer too.
That's
I don't
very
think we have
question,
any
and I love it.
contracts, I mean, at this point, any public works contract that we have is already under construction, and so, you know, even if somebody did try to have the contract set aside, the judge would probably say no.
Okay.
And as a practical matter, in this case, if somebody sued because Mississippi contractors are treated the same as Alabama contractors, you know, the judge might say, well, yeah, they didn't comply with the state law, but in this case, I'm not gonna set it aside because it wouldn't affect anything. But the court could also say, yeah, you didn't comply with state law, so I'm enjoining you from going forward with this contract. It's a factual question for the court to make, or it's a legal question based on the facts of that particular case, but I always prefer to err on the side of caution, and especially since we had a local contractor who was questioning it. You know, the architect's attorneys basically said, well, you may be able just to go forward because Mississippi and Alabama treated contractors the same, and yeah, we could, but if the local contractor filed a suit to enjoin us from moving forward, then the judge could also say, no, you know, I'm not allowing this to go forward, so.
So it's not worth, we can handle this in 3 weeks, I think it's worth
I
it.
mean, I think it's, you err on the side of caution.
Absolutely.
And you don't, you know, you make sure you dot all the i's and cross all the t's is what I think.
I can't think of any law that states if you reject a bid, that there's a certain time frame. None that I'm aware of, but I wasn't aware of this one either. So I'm just
There's
asking
no,
for
we
it.
don't, I mean, we can bid this out anytime.
Right,
The city has the right to reject bids anytime
and I
it
did
puts
have
bids
that,
out.
yeah, in
Yeah.
our legal ad, I do show that in all the legal
Yeah.
ads that we have the right.
And so there
reach
are no ramifications for us either by rejecting all of these bids and redoing all of
No.
this? Okay, so no problems?
No problem.
Do you
Okay.
think all of them will rebid, or we don't know?
Do we have 5? Do we have 4 or 5?
Four submitted bids, yes.
So
I-
we'd
I have
to
spoken to
we'd
one
have
of
to
them.
pre-bid?
It was a
We're
mandatory pre-bid.
doing the whole thing from scratch, right? Is that,
Yes,
yeah, pretty
So
much.
we'll have to have to pre-bid again.
correct.
I have, one of the bidders reached out
In
and
case we
volunteered a
didn't-
conversation, and I'm not sure that he's going to rebid. His company's, I'm just not sure. He offered the information that they only, in their bid, they only built in 6% buffer from what actual cost of material is gonna be, cost of building. And he said he just didn't know that he could swing anything tighter than that. And that's just the information he offered without being prompted.
I
What
would-
does pre-bid consist of? The process.
Just where, if it's a mandatory, any of the general contractors who plan to bid have to be present, go over, review the site, any questions. There's, you know, different, sometimes they require different information. But if you're not at a pre-mandatory bid, you can't bid on
Okay.
a bid.
So, but in this case, there might be others that didn't bid the first time.
Yes,
Could be.
that's why I say that they would definitely require another mandatory, because if there's other vendors out there that maybe missed it the first go around, that might show interest, that would give them the opportunity as well to bid.
Basically a question and answer, and make sure all the potential bidders understand the process and requirements and any
But
nuances.
you
have.
actually went out to the site.
Yeah, we offer that, we
Yes.
offer that to them, yes.
Any other questions or comments? So we need to have a nomination to move forward with rebidding this.
Or
I'll make-
to,
Yeah.
We need to,
we have a bid on the table that we need,
To
I'm not gonna get in
reject.
your business, but on the floor.
Yeah.
So we need to reject
Mhm.
a bid.
All bids.
And then reopen, yeah.
So we need a nomination to reject all bids.
I'll make that motion to reject all bids and
Oh.
reopen.
I'll second that.
And a vote is 3-0. And now we need a nomination to rebid it and send it to the finance committee when those bids come in.
Was that not part of the reopening it?
What?
Did we just do
But
that?
what you're saying, Bill, is you're doing two things.
Yes.
So if you do that, it won't come back to the utility committee.
Public safety.
What did I say?
Public safety.
Public safety, it wouldn't come back to the public safety committee
Before you
again.
go to finance.
So we need to do that after it comes back.
I mean,
It needs to come back to this committee first.
first,
Yes.
For us
that's
to
what I'm
see
saying.
it, and to see if we want to make a recommendation.
Because we don't
for
have
the
the
next-
bids yet, okay.
Correct.
We didn't actually do that last time.
Correct.
So I was gonna make sure that we did that.
You own it today. You're ahead of the game, but you own it.
I came in thinking, so we need a motion to rebid the project. Yes, sir.
Well, Ms. Simmons had contacted me about certain council members having questions about whether they wanted this in this year's budget. And so, if that's the case, then my recommendation would be that you go to the finance committee before you bid it out. Because we don't wanna bid it out and have to reject bids again, so we wanna make sure that we're gonna do the project before we bid it out again, in my opinion. But that's up to the council, but that's just my recommendation.
What you're saying is the project wouldn't be scrapped, but it would be delayed.
Right, I mean, I would hate for contractors to go through the bid process
Waste their time.
again and then us decide, well, we're not gonna do this right now after you've already, because then that will start to turn them off and them say, well, I'm not gonna bid on this project again.
So I think what we've done is enough, yes?
I think so.
Rejecting them and then reopening it, right?
Okay.
But, and now the finance committee or the whole council or whoever just needs to make, just needs to decide if we're gonna go forward, and at that point, then it'll be rebid immediately,
Yes.
Leanne can go forward, and in 3 weeks, the project can move.
I
So-
guess if there's a question about the financial side of it, I don't know if that's what we're getting at. If
Yeah, I don't know
there is,
either, that,
though-
Ms. Simmons had just mentioned that to me, I don't know whether that's true, I'm just saying, if that's the case, if that's not the case, then I think we can move forward now.
So let me ask,
Present, oh, sorry.
go ahead.
Presenting the bids themselves take contractors hours, a lot of time to do that. So yes, I would definitely say, make sure all the funds are approved and,
We're
Willing to
obviously
make-
talking about a project that's not gonna get cheaper. If we put it off, it's gonna be more expensive, there's no
I
doubt.
agree.
So I guess my
No.
question is why, I mean, we've got the principal funding there with the understanding it's gonna take into another budget year and hopefully come back. So putting it off, I mean, if he wouldn't work 3 years to put this together, I mean, just drive out on Huntsville Road and see what's there. And it's totally inefficient for what we're doing as a city. I mean, we
Oh,
bought.
I'm 100%
We,
on
you know,
board. I'm just.
we bought trucks that won't even fit in the building. So,
Well, I'm interested in hearing this, please.
okay, my question is, Chief, I had talked with you as well. Have you talked to the other council members?
I have not, no, I've kind of made it available and nothing
Well, I know a
has
lot of it's
transpired
been-
as of yet. It's
well,
been
a
some
lot of it's
people
been
out of place in the last
I
few
would
days.
suggest, even before, because from what I was getting, everybody wasn't fully aware
Mm-hmm.
of where we are, hadn't even seen all the plans of the specs of this.
Mhm.
I think even before it comes back to the finance committee, that they need to see all of this so they can make a truly informed, decision.
Okay. I'm certainly willing to meet with whoever to
Okay.
get
When
us where
everybody
we
get
need to
back
be and
in
everybody's in the
place,
loop.
well, I'll make sure to reach out to them so. we can try
Before
to
the
make it happen.
finance committee?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
so you want the other three to interact with him before you call the finance committee? Is that what you-
Yeah, I would hate for us to approve it and then they still get to them and they reject it.
Mhm.
So they need to, they haven't even
Right.
seen all this.
I haven't spoken to anybody else about it either.
Yeah.
No one's asked me anything.
Sure.
No, not a word.
Well, we were in the process until we got this kink.
Yeah.
I mean, it would have gone to
would've
the
moved
finance
forward anyway.
committee, and, if we need to do that, but since it's kink, we've got that opportunity to do that, so. So we'll arrange for the other three to see that, is that, okay?
Fair enough. Yep.
And then, after that, then we'll get them in, we'll proceed with what we need to do.
Okay.
One way or the other.
You okay with that, ma'am?
I am.
offer some education to each of the other council members, go to the finance committee, is that what I'm hearing is the process from here? Or
But
then bid,
let's
or?
let the other council members, what you shared with us.
Yes, yes,
I think they need that opportunity
Okay.
to see it as well, and then, let you know what they.
sure,
what they-
okay,
If it needs to go any further.
yeah,
The only one that wouldn't be on one of the two
that's what I was
committees is
sitting here
Mr.
thinking.
Oliver.
This is Mr. Oliver's the only one that wouldn't on.
Yes, sir.
The plan I had envisioned was coming to you all, going to the finance, but that would leave Mr. Oliver out at that
Mhm.
point.
Correct. And he needs that chance to
Yeah,
ask those
sure,
questions.
absolutely, absolutely.
So does that mean you wanna talk to him and then get back with Ms. Simmons to call the finance committee? Is that the way-
I'll offer this, I'll meet with whoever
That's fair
to
enough.
facilitate moving this forward,
That's fair.
see where we're gonna be.
Okay,
So from here, we're gonna contact GMC and we're gonna reject the bids. Is that correct?
Right.
Yes.
That's
And
what-
that's all
That's
at
good.
this point
That's good.
that we will do until we hear back from
Yes.
your
Yeah,
meeting.
that way the contractors can quit.
Yes.
They don't have to wait. They'll know what we're doing. Good deal.
And did you say that the building would not hold the size of fire trucks we've ordered?
No, that's the
old
current
building.
Current
Old
building.
Oh,
building.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh,
on
yes.
Huntsville Road.
Okay, I missed the old part and I was thinking, well, we need to go back to the drawing board
yeah,
before we release any more specs, if that's the case.
Yes, I
Okay,
have to
old
go back.
buildings, sorry.
everything been said?
All mine's are.
Well, it's 12 o'clock. We didn't start till 11:30 though.
Correct.
All right, we are dismissed.
So before we do that, I want Ms. Simmons to explain, I've never had green beans for bunions. Tell me about the green beans for bunions.
Well,
Oh my
that's,
gosh,
we're
I-
gonna dismiss and then go into. Go ahead. Go ahead, I wanna hear about that too.
Well, I thought you said we was gonna dismiss and then we were talking about green beans.
Oh, we are dismissed.
Yeah.
Okay.